How far you want when you go back?
All the way.
Okay. So after finishing playing in 2015, my family and I landed in Minneapolis. We stayed there. Our kids were in an age that we kind of had to hit the brakes. And I jumped right into coaching high school hockey there. I started an off-ice training business that became very successful in and around the Minneapolis area, and knew that my path was coaching. I mean, I truly did, but felt like, it was important to my kids to feel the presence of their dad. So kind of really spent time in that. And over the last 2 years, my wife and I have decided that it's been time to pursue. And what I learned is the longer you're away from it, the harder it is to get back in. But stayed committed, stayed coaching in Minnesota, had a blast coaching high school hockey and, teaching kids. I've run an academy, TPH Academy, for the last 2 years, 2 locations in Minneapolis. And that's really, I've dived into the development of athletes and learned a lot through research and teachings. And so really feel like was positioning myself to get back in, and then was contacted by Ryan Hardy a few weeks ago and spent some time with him, and then went and spent some time with the Leafs development camp a few weeks back, and here we are.
Are your wife and kids here with you as well?
So all my kids are older. They're all college age or older. I do have 2 grandkids. So yes, I'm a grandpa. But my wife will come once we get settled and have a place. My wife will be here, and we're going to do some really cool things.
So how do you hope all that work at the developmental level in Minneapolis will transition now to what's a developmental league here in the ECHL?
I mean, it will directly relate. It's, the game is the game. The game has changed a lot over the last 10 years, and I've followed right along with that. I coach very differently than I play. And that's because the demands of the game today are different than they were when I played. You look back in 1998, if you were under 6 foot, you didn't play in the NHL. And so to be able to adapt and adjust was something that I did continuously throughout my career, and it's also something I'll do as a coach as well.
So how does your playing style with over 1,000 NHL games, over 1,000 penalty minutes, how does that transition into coaching?
Well, I mean, I was never supposed to make the NHL. I mean, I was a late pick, and fortunately, you want me to wait?
Yes, if you don't mind. Sorry,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Breathe and take your time. It's okay. It's all good. All right. All good. I was constantly trying to improve, trying to get better, trying to adjust. And I think that's the way that I coach. We're going to adapt. We're going to adjust. We're going to develop. We're going to work on. It's going to be a day-to-day basis. It's not, we obviously have a long-term plan, but we have a day-to-day basis approach. And as I truly view games as, as a coach, I view games as a Broadway show. Practice is the coach's time to help players be in a state where they can go out and be successful and be prepared. And the game is for them to prove to me what they know. And as they, in a Broadway show, when they make a mistake, it doesn't stop, right? It keeps going. You're not going to make a ton of adjustments or corrections in game. That happens the next day in practice. And so it's kind of been my approach coaching-wise, and I've been fortunate to have groups that's been successful with, and it's something that I'll continue on with.
You're an Ontario boy. Obviously, the Growlers have an affiliation with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Did that factor into this decision at all?
Well, I mean, obviously, I need to thank Deacon Sports and Entertainment, Glenn Stanford, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Ryan Hardy. I mean, it's instrumental in the decision. For a later date, there's a story, and I'll let you guys do your research to figure it out. But I do have a connection to the Toronto Maple Leafs from a long time ago, but it's kind of a hidden story that nobody knows about. So I'll see if you guys can do your homework. But It's an amazing opportunity. I mean, Toronto Maple Leafs organization is first class in everything they do, and their support has allowed the Growlers to be successful from day one and continue to be successful, and fully expect that support continues and will help us be successful this year.
So you want a 1-year contract, or how does that work? Are you here for a couple of years, or you're just one and done?
I hope I'm not here one and done. I mean, I have a 2-year contract, and so at least for the next couple of years we're here. So, but I've been here 2 days and excited for the path and the move forward. So, can't wait to get players in here and get started.
Can you talk about your first impressions of the organization in St. John's in those first couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, whirlwind yesterday, but first and foremost, like the facility and the organization, first class on how they handle things, how they've brought me in here. Little things matter, but I walk in. I was hired 3 days ago or 4 days ago now. I'm trying to think back. So, but like all my name tags are up, and the office was set up with stuff for me, and from that standpoint, made me really feel like home when I walked in the door, and that only just leads to my ability to cannonball into the situation and dive right in and lead the way.
Matt, what are you going to bring to the table here? How are you going to bring the community together and bring more people in those seats out?
Well, so my goal here is to win in 3 ways, truly, and that is to win in the community, to win in development, and to win in games. And Brian Burke years ago instilled in me an energy, a passion, and a desire to be engaged in the community. And I think my wife and I have done a great job over the years of really doing that. We started our own foundation. I've been, the spokesperson for Ronald McDonald House in the past. I've won community awards throughout my career, and something that I'm very passionate about. And I thank Brian Burke for that, for instilling that into me. But it's something that I believe as the leader, I can't push from behind. I got to get out in front and pull. And my wife and I fully expect to ingrain ourselves fully in the community and really give the players a voice, because each one of them has their own story. And I know that it being a development league, rosters change, and fans can get frustrated with that because it's not the same faces year after year. But I truly believe that there's an opportunity for each one of our players to tell their story, to get out there and allow the community to get them to know them on a different level than a guy with skates and a helmet on.
Do you have any plans in your back pocket? Anything that you're going to change around here that you could tell us about? Any future plans?
I mean, I wouldn't say specifically. I have ideas. I have working with, the staff here on planning out, and clearly next Friday is most important right now. But we've discussed a lot of things, a lot of opportunities and areas within the schedule already that I can see that will allow us opportunities to dive in.
Specifically about the Newfoundland job attracted you, made you want to come to St. John's?
For me, it's the opportunity to focus on development. I've been enamored my whole life with the nuances of the game. And if I go back, when I was 17 years old, I had a coach named Paul Gillis who played in the NHL, played for the Quebec Nordiques. And when he took over the Windsor Spitfires job, he dove into me on things that he was taught at the NHL level that allowed me to be super successful. And ever since that time, I've wanted to pass those things on. And over the last 7 years, I worked with Rem Pitlick, a guy that played in Nashville, played with the Wild, is with Montreal, and he's a successful player. And guys like that, over my time, that things they're in professional hockey. He was in the American Hockey League, and he'd never heard some of the stuff that we talked about, some of the tricks of the trade, or I call them nuances. And I was like, shocked that they hadn't been given that information. And so Newfoundland's been an organization that's been uber successful. They've seen, I think, 5 players go up and play in the NHL, and that's a commitment that Toronto has made, that this is an entry point into the NHL for players, for all players. And so I think that being able to dive in on the development level and getting the opportunity to be a head coach and lead the ship was super enticing for me. I was offered other opportunities earlier in the summer, and unfortunately, like for me, it just wasn't the right fit. And so I truly wanted to dive in, and this is one, although transition to getting here happened very, very quickly, and I'm thankful for my wife because she's picking up all the pieces in Minnesota right now. But I mean, she's supported me from day one and still continues to. And but this is an opportunity that is very exciting for me about helping players reach the next level.
So are you one of those coaches then, like when you watch, you're always jotting stuff down, and like you watch games on a notebook, or?
I don't. I mean, I'll video down, make notes. I'll write times in the game that I can go back and watch that stick out to me. I'm a coach on the bench that stays focused, is somewhat reserved, and I feel like I have the ability to download the game in real time, and so we will be a team that adjusts on the fly. We won't have to wait until an intermission to make a change.
First impressions of Newfoundland and Labrador so far?
I got here at 8:30 on Sunday night, and other than it being a 7-minute ride to the rink, I was like, oh, that's close. Been at the Jag, walked to the rink, and been to a couple restaurants. Haven't really seen much. Spent 14 hours at the rink yesterday trying to get on my crash course of things that I don't know, because in reality, there's a lot. The hockey piece of it for me is going to be super easy. It's all of the, functions that happen behind the scenes. And Kenny O'Leary's been unbelievable, and Marcus has been unbelievable, and making a commitment to me of really just diving in and helping me learn the things that I don't know.
Is Brian Burke your Maple Leafs connection, or was that Vancouver?
Brian was the general manager in Vancouver when I was there. So,
Keep trying.
yep, I think you're going to have to utilize the internet. So.
What do you want your players to be like? I mean, every coach wants their team to win, but what do you want your players to be like? What do you want them to get out of every game?
I'm going to give too much away, but I'm all about 1% better. So every day, 1% better. By the end of the season, that 1% is a little bit is way less than the 1% in day one. And I don't expect perfection. It's not reality. But there's things that you can control: effort, attitude, and intentionality that are the expectation and the standard. And as I said before, like, coaching is having an ability to lead, and I want them to be excited to come to the rink every day, and I want them to be excited to go to work every day and battle every day. And we're a team that will play fast. A term that I like to use is stay connected. So we're a group that's going to stay connected, and we're going to want to possess the puck.
We're good. So you won Stanley Cup in 2009. What do you think you can take from that experience and bring here?
Probably the biggest thing from that year for me was overcoming adversity. We were in 10th in January, and we went through a coaching change, and minor changes, like, just proof of how close you really are. Minor tweaks by Dan Baalsma freed us up to be successful. And I'm still close with every guy on that team. I mean, you make a bond and a connection. And if I look back, that is the closest team that I was ever a part of from a relationship standpoint. And there's no guessing why we were successful. And so I hope to bring, as much as the challenge, and you go through a lot more players here because of opportunities for guys to go up and get a chance at the next level. I hope to build that culture within the room of, togetherness and embracing the battle together. Thank you.
Good to see you back in black and gold.
Yeah, it's. I joked I was going to bring my Penguins gloves because they match.